happens loads in an agency. So what I want you to be able to do is have a systematic way of being able to bring someone up to speed when you hire them at your agency. What I see happen so incredibly often is that you sign a new contract and you end up needing to bring someone onto the team, and they have maybe, if we're lucky, 24 to 48 hours to be able to train them, and not really thinking about how can we set them up for success. And what ends up happening, well, when we do that, is that we end up creating this environment where, this is what ends up happening. We end up creating this environment that over time for this particular employee is that we are expecting them to dramatically increase their knowledge base about what we do. And so this is the first, let's call it 72 hours of when they're on the job, where they're just kind of drinking from a fire hose and trying to get information. And then they immediately decline and then kind of get better over time. This hinge point here actually causes an emotional trigger and causes a problem for the team. What I would prefer to do, and if you see this point where they actually get up to speed is significantly longer, we're talking many months, rather than actually just going like this and actually getting them up to speed appropriately. And how do we actually go about doing that? So the opportunity here is for us to really be able to set up a system that allows for the team members to understand exactly what success looks like and exactly what they need to do their job really well, and understand that fully so that there's no ambiguity, there's no question, there's no confusion around it. So I'm going to grab. So what we want to do, and so here's how I want you to think about it. Every single role within the organization, within your agency, has a defined number of things that they need to do in order to be successful, right? You know what needs to actually happen. It's just a matter of actually documenting it, understanding it, and actually laying it out in a way that's easily digestible for every single team member. And we can do this as we hire every single new role. Allows for us to actually build a system around actually training this person so that they're fully up to speed. And, it's kind of the idea of, let's say that you were to be putting together IKEA furniture, for example. Done it myself, not a fun task. But let's say that rather than actually keeping them in the boxes of where we were to open up every single piece of packaging, throw it all on the ground, and then try to figure out how to do it. It's going to take us much longer than actually having them with the label of what size they were and then following the actual directions of what they need to do and taking them step by step of what exactly we need to do. And that's how we want to break it down for your team members as well. So what I want to show you is the 5 non-negotiables. So the way that I look at hiring someone, the way that I look at thinking about training them in the first place, and having had a conversation inspired from a colleague of mine, Angela Loria, this is where I'm thinking about it. So I'm going to give you an example of a project manager. So one of the non-negotiables is resource management, right? They are responsible for managing the resources within the agency. That no one is over-resourced. That we have exactly an understanding of what they need to do, when they need to do it, and they don't have any issue with getting it done. We also need to have all projects are completed on time. We then have to have weekly project and KPI reporting to measure the success that they're actually having. All processes are documented. And then ultimately managing any new team members for onboarding and hiring. This is an example of some 5 non-negotiables for this particular role. Then what we're going to go and do is we're going to then map out exactly how we are going to be able to actually bring them up to speed. And so we're going to map out the first week is typically you're just doing the typical onboarding things. This is tech and HR. They're going to spend the first day with just the normal contract signing, getting logged into systems, and then you're going to get them to understand your project management system, understand your file organization, getting up to speed on just the base tools that they are going to need to do. And then you actually take the non-negotiables, non-negotiable 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You then break it down throughout that week. They are going to assume the responsibility for this one particular thing. And at the end of the week, they are responsible for that piece, that point forward. The way that you want to think about each day, the Monday is typically a training. The Tuesday is a doing. The Wednesday is another training. The Thursday is a doing. And the Friday is a shadow. So they're shadowing someone actually going through and doing that entire role and making sure that they fully understand it. As you go through and do this, you can actually have these trainings recorded so you can be used for the next person that's hired in this particular role. And it's a great framework that over the course of 6 weeks, you're able to have this person have a very clear understanding of exactly what they need to do and be fully onboarded and able to do their job really well. Be successful, no longer feeling like they're bad at what they do, and ultimately allowing for them to really be able to be impactful for you as well as solid foundation for them. Recognizing that ultimately if you have someone that is failing, they are not going to be happy. Not a single employee, especially at the start, is wanting to come to work to do a bad job. And we are setting them up to do so. So I want you to go through for the next hire that you have, put together what it is that those 5 non-negotiables are for that particular role, define the training plan for them, walk them through it, document it, and allow for the next one to just continue to build that baseline for it. So do me a favor, take this worksheet, the next hire that you have, and get that going. If you have any questions about what those 5 non-negotiables will be, one sort of really key principle here is that every single one of them needs to be measurable, black and white, done or not done, not ambiguous, not subjective. It is absolutely done, yes or no. So if you have any questions around how to create those 5 non-negotiables, how to turn something that may feel sometimes subjective, especially in the creative world, can sometimes feel subjective, how can we create what would be subjectivity into a full objective yes or no?